Hello and welcome to a new Vector 2 screencast. My name is Sean Hodge and I'll be taking you through the tutorial how to create a vector sketchbook by Rype. In this tutorial we'll learn how to create a customizable vector sketchbook. This intermediate Illustrator tutorial uses basic shapes and shear transformations. It also uses effects to create a leather texture. For all you Vector Plus members, be sure to download the tutorial by going to tutesplus.com. After you've reviewed the included files, we'll be ready to begin. And for those of you without Plus files, you're welcome to follow along as well. To begin, let's first take a look at what we'll be creating. Here's the final image. And let's get started. First, open a new Illustrator document. Then go ahead and grab the rounded rectangle tool, click anywhere on the artboard, and we're going to make this 380 by 500 pixels tall. You also want the corner radius to be 30 pixels. The way it usually works, I hit Command 1, which centers a document. Then when I grab artwork, I can hit Command X, Command V, and it pastes it in the center. Then go ahead and save. Go ahead and hit M to grab the rectangle tool and draw a rectangle, something similar to what I'm creating here. I'm also going to get rid of the fills so we can see how they overlap. You can always readjust it if you need to. And with both of those shapes selected, open up the Pathfinder palette and you want to hit the minus front button. Make sure that the shape is selected, then go to Object, Transform, Move, and it's going to be 30 for horizontal and negative 30 for vertical, and then go ahead and hit Copy. Go ahead and remove the strokes, and then fill the shapes with a dark gray. Grab this right shape, hit Command C, Command F to paste in front, and then we're going to give it a gradient that goes from kind of a mid to dark beige over to white. And then from the top right corner, actually you can do it from the center, hold down the Shift key, and we're just scaling it down ever so slightly. Be sure to save as you go along. With this new shape selected, go to Effect, Distort and Transform, Transform. For the number of copies, put in 10. And let me double check. And it's negative 3 for the horizontal and 3 for the vertical. Go ahead and hit OK. And this is going to form the basis of our pages of this book, of the sketchbook. This new pages shape selected, go to Object, Expand Appearance. You can see it's turning it into multiple pages. And hit Command X, select this front cover, then hit Command B. And go ahead and group them. You can hit Command G to group them. Well, at this point we can go ahead and ungroup them. That way we can select them easily individually. And go ahead and save. Hit Z, grab the zoom tool, zoom in a little bit, then hit V to grab the direct selection tool. And we're going to do this to 4 or 5 of these page shapes. Basically we're just dragging the gradient slider on it, either left or right, whatever you think looks best, which is just going to add a little bit of randomness to these page designs. Which will make them look a bit more like individual pages. And then you can hit Command 1 to zoom back out and see what the progress looks like. And be sure to save it. Go ahead and hit M to grab the rectangle tool. And let me me see, it's 500 tall by 30 wide. Hit OK. That's the other way around. Did that backwards. 30 wide by 500 tall. Hit OK. Give it the same color as the cover, and what we're making right now is the spine. I go to Object, Transform, Shear. Make sure the preview is set, and we're going to give it a 45. Yeah, 45-degree shear. Looks good. Go ahead and hit OK. Zoom in a bit. Now we're just going to line this up. Alright, now we've got a spine. Go ahead and save. Select the front cover, hit Command C, Command F to paste it in front. Hold down Shift from the top right corner. Drag this down to about a third of its original size. Then I'm grabbing the eyedropper tool and just selecting the background to give it a white color. We're going to apply texture to it in just a moment, and then we're going to, after we apply texture to this, we're then going to stretch it back up. So depending on what size this is at is really how detailed the texture is. If it's really small, then when you stretch it up, you can really see the texture. The bigger it is, the tighter the texture weave is. Weave isn't really the right word because this is supposed to look like leather, but I think you get the idea. And if you play around with it at different sizes, then you'll definitely understand what I'm saying. Now with that texture selected, go to Effect, Texture, Texturizer, and set it to Sandstone, 200 scaling, and 50 relief, and hit OK. This texture selected, go to Object, Expand Appearance, then click on the Live Trace button. Actually, you know what? I didn't want to do that. Hit Command Z. Click on the little arrow next to that, and we're going to use the one color. So I selected the one color option, and then go ahead and hit the Expand button. After you've done that, you can stretch it back up, holding the Shift key until it lines up just right. That looks pretty good. Then go ahead and select a gray that's just a little bit darker than the cover itself, and that's what our texture is looking like. And as I was saying before, just depending on what size you make this texture at is how the pattern of this texture is going to look. Go ahead and save. Make sure this texture is selected, then go to Object, Transform, Shear. Doing 45 for the shear angle, and you're setting on the axis is going to be vertical. Then go ahead and hit Copy. I'm dragging it over a bit and zooming in. So we want this to line up here on this angle within the boundary of the spine. Make sure the spine is selected. Hit Command C, Command F. Just making a copy and paste it in front. Hold down the Shift key and then select this pattern, the shear pattern, and go to Object, Clipping Mask, Make. This is really important when working with textures, which is to put it at the right angle of where it's being used. Go ahead and grab the rectangle tool. Actually, you know what? Grab the selection tool. We want to check and see how wide this area here is. Because we cut this rounded rectangle, it's going to differ. Looks like mine's 335. So you just check and see how big yours is, then hit M, and I'm setting mine up for 335, and the height is going to be 120. You can use any color, but for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to use teal, hit Command 1, zoom back out, and I'm going to zoom back in. And you can place this anywhere you want, vertically, but horizontally we want it to line up with the edges as close as possible. That looks good enough. Zoom in, make sure that it's lined up with the spine, and it is. I'll go ahead and hold down Option or Alt, which drags off a copy. And I'm just going to do this up here in the control bar. Hit 30 for the width. And if you want, you can also change it so it places it over on the left. Actually, it's not really mattering. Just drag this over while holding Shift, which keeps it in the right spot. And I'm going to line up with the edge here. Close enough. Go to Object, Transform, Shear. Actually, I want to see this a little bit better. We go, hit OK. Whoops, let's do that again. I didn't say what the sizes are. We're hitting Shear, 45-degree angle on a vertical. Just hit OK. It's really the same that we did with the spine. Then zoom in and make sure it all lines up. Make sure you save it. Hit T to grab the text tool, and this is just to add some branding to it, so you can really put whatever you want. In this case, I'm going to put Vector Toots. Putting the size at 24, and I'm setting it at bold, making the text white, and I'm using Marriott Pro for the font, but again, use whatever you want. Go ahead and save it. Go ahead and grab our cover, not the texture, but just the cover. Deselect everything, and hit Command F, which places it all in front. I'm going to apply a radial gradient to it, so I just grab the default gradient, and I'm changing it to radial, and then go ahead and move the slider over so it looks about like that, and then what is this called? The aspect ratio. You want to change that to 200. Hit enter. You can see how it places the just basically dark edges. And once we go to transparency and you hit multiply, you can see it's just added some shading here, which, you know, every little detail really adds to the effect. We're going to do something similar over on the spine. So make sure that you're selecting the spine and not the texture of the spine. And hit deselect everything, hit Command F after copying it. And we're just going to keep it a little bit more simple here. Just give it a light gray rather than a gradient, but it's really up to you. And then hit multiply. And that just makes the left side a bit darker. Now let's create a rectangle that's 500 pixels in height. Actually a little more than that because we want it to overlap. So let's say maybe 508. You can always play around with it, see what you like. So 30 pixels width, 508 height. And then we're moving it so it just overlaps a little bit on the top and the bottom. And now we're going to apply a really cool gradient. I'm going to review this. I've already got it saved here. It's in the written tutorial. You can follow along as well. And just take a look at all these different steps. Basically, you've got a dark color like black. Is it black actually? Let me check. So it's a really dark gray, and then a gray that's not as dark, and it just rotates back and forth at 10-point increments that go all the way from 0 up to 100, so it goes 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, just back and forth to create that. For example, look, if I remove this, you can see it's getting rid of the banding. If I put it back, it puts the banding back. After you've created this, go ahead and save it. This band selected, hit Command C, Command B, which places it directly behind the band. And then I'm just using the left arrow key to move it over a bit. How far you move it over is really up to you. Then I'm giving it a light gray color. I'm going to set it to multiply. And that just gives a bit of a shadow here. I have this banded rectangle selected, hit Command C, Command F to place it in front. Give it a default gradient, then grab the gradient tool, hold down Shift, and drag it from the top to the bottom, which makes it so that the white is at the top and then the black goes all the way down to the bottom. And we're going to set it to overlay. There we go. You can see it just makes it so it looks like there's a bit of light hitting up here, and then it's a little darker down here. Just selecting all these shapes underneath the band, and I'm locking them for a moment. That way I can grab all three of these shapes that we've just made and grouping them. I'm hitting Command and then Command C, Command F to make a copy. And for the height, I'm going to change it to 30 pixels. Then drag it up and go to Object, Transform, Reflect. I want to see how it goes. You can see that it's dark down at the bottom. That's where the shadow's hitting it, as we reviewed when we made the taller band. What we're going to do is just flip this. So we're putting the axis at horizontal, and we'll just say OK. Now go ahead and go to with this new object selected, go to Object, Transform, Shear. And we want -45 on the horizontal. Yep, on the horizontal. Then go ahead and hit OK. Now it's just a matter of lining it up. Alright, now you could also get a bit more detailed if you want to, of course. And this technically wouldn't be casting shadow in the back. But it really depends on what your final size is going to be. If you wanted to, you could copy this. So by holding down Alt or Option, dragging it over, then hit Command X, Command B to paste it back, and just get rid of that shadow. You can see how it lines up there. And then down at the bottom it's not doing the same thing. Why is that? Let's go ahead and select it. Oh, I know what I'm doing here. I want to grab this one. Drag a copy down. Go ahead, Command X, Command B. And again, these are just really small details that may not be necessary. Looks like I didn't make a copy. That time I did. Alright, that way it appears to go all the way around, like the band is on the back of the book as well. I'll go ahead and save it. Let me see what size I'm going to make this at. It's like 40 pixels tall. Go ahead and hit M to grab the rectangle tool and make it 40 pixels tall, and then the width of your cover. Did that backwards, didn't I? So the width is of your cover and then 40 pixels tall. So for me it's 335 width and then 40 pixels tall. And go to Object, Transform, Shear. It's negative 45 on the horizontal. Hit OK. And go to Effect. See where the feather is. Effect. Stylize. There it is. Feather. We're going to set it to 10. Go ahead and hit Command X, Command B to place it in back. Then just move it into position. Just giving it a bit of shadow so it appears to rest. Appears though it's resting on something. Okay, yeah, we're going to set the multiply on as well because we're going to be giving this artwork a background. So we want this to show on top of the colors of the background that we're about to make. I'll go ahead and save the document. Grab the rectangle tool by hitting M. Create a rectangle either the size of your document or just a little bit bigger. Command X, Command B to place it in back. Then go ahead and give it a radial gradient of your choice. The cool effect is to put the inner part of the gradient, of the radial gradient, to white, and then you can play with how much you want to show. It just kind of gives it a glowing effect, which Rype does a lot in his various tutorials. And once you're happy with your gradient, go ahead and save and you're done. Good job. Do any tweaks that you think you've never really done, right? Just centering it, fixing a few details, saving the document. And great job, everybody. Using these techniques, you can easily add more customizations like different colors, logos, and more. Have fun applying these techniques. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next Vector Tutor Screencast.